Welcome in to the CHGO Bears Podcast. We are AC, maybe ACD, after maybe ACWD.
ADHD.
After Caleb was drafted.
Oh, I see.
Bears. After Caleb was drafted.
I thought you were calling
Bears.
us ACDC, and I was like, no, I think ADHD is probably more apropos.
No, well, that is most definitely true for this program with the two elite hosts that are here. Yours truly, Mark Carman, Gregory P. Allen Braggs, and royalty to kick off the show today as we bring in. He's always been extremely optimistic, but his last tweet is from Adam Rank, NFL Network, joining us on the CHGO Bears podcast is, all right, now I'm really optimistic.
Now I'm really.
Now
yes.
It does feel, does it not, gentlemen, that we're in a different land? Like, I actually put a tweet out 30 minutes ago just saying, like, I don't know, man. Everybody you talk to, every quote that you read, he's got it. The game's never over if you have him. And then you listen to him, and he's the most confident, easygoing cat ever. And then you talk to his teammates, and they love him. Then you see him hanging out with Rome Odunze, and all of that. It's like, this can't go wrong. As long as he stays healthy, I think we're just in a different place here right now. That's how it feels. We can get to the rest of the draft. It was obviously a super busy weekend. But, Adam, thanks for being here. I assume you basically agree with everything I just said.
Absolutely, 100%. And I will have something coming out on my show a little bit later. The most amazing part of all of that is just taking Caleb out of the equation. And, of course, going back to what you're saying, I now refer to this as year zero AD, as in after the draft. Everything else is BC, before Caleb. But regardless of what Caleb, like, I understand we've had troubles with quarterbacks. Not as bad as everybody thinks, but still, that's fine. The organization, the way they're operating, that is the thing that gives me the most optimism, is because this organization just feels different. You know, going out there and making a pick like Rome Odunze, I think says more than anything else, because years ago they would have been like, well, we've got Keenan Allen, we're fine. We're fine at receiver, so why should we improve there? Let's trade down for a bunch of people and do whatever. And we would have put our quarterback, we would have put him in such a bad position. Like, the old Bears would have kept Justin Fields around because they didn't want to trade him for a fourth-round pick, a potential fourth-round pick. They would have been like, let's wait till somebody goes down in training camp. And it's like, it really struck me because I was looking at the Atlanta Falcons. And if you think about the last two quarterbacks who didn't hit, it was Trubisky and Justin, of course. And in each circumstance, they signed a veteran, drafted a guy, and it just was a disaster. And then the guy who did that is now in Atlanta, and he signs a guy and drafts. Like, it's like, oh my God, like, now we see it. Like, we see how other, like, bad organizations operate.
Yep.
And of all the things that we joked about pre-draft, the Falcons could have done what the Bears did and been like, you know what? We signed Kirk Cousins. We're going to go all in. We're going to get Rome. Like, they should have drafted Rome Odunze. And that, to me, just shows how different this whole thing is going to be. Like, I understand that. Let's get more picks. Like, we've built picks over the last 2 years. We've got players. The players are there. Let's get superstars. You look at Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 list, and I don't know where Rome eventually ended up, but I know he was top 5. We have 2 of the top 5 guys coming from this draft, and there's people who will argue that Rome Odunze is better than Marvin Harrison and Malik Neighbors, and I don't want to get into that conversation because I don't think it matters. We have 2 superstars. It just feels different, and if you can't see it and you want to go out there and make your jokes, that's fine. I would probably do the same thing. We were making the jokes about the Lions last year. Like, yeah, whatever. That's still the Lions. Then these teams eventually show you who they are. So I agree. Like, it's completely different.
Yeah, I agree. It's like even beyond just the Ryan Pace, Ryan Poles differences. To me, it was even just the luck that we normally don't have go our way. You know, we always talk about being one pick short of Aaron Donald, one pick short of Quentin Nelson. You know, you can scroll all the way back if you're an old timer and remember the time they missed the coin flip for Terry Bradshaw. You know, we've done it. There. We've done it to ourselves, you know, when we didn't take, Chandler Jones, we took Shea McClellan.
Oh, my God.
And so it's like we've had so many different moments where the draft doesn't go our way, whether it's just through luck or by our own fault. And this time it really just feels right. And it's a surreal moment for Bears fans. It's something we're not used to.
Yeah. And, it's funny, too, is like trying to find negative responses to the draft. And of course, everybody's going to give the CSO. Wait, search and SEO. They're doing the SEO thing. Like, Mel Kiper doesn't like Bears draft. You're like, where? Like this. I know that this is the very definition of clickbait. And this whole thing was like, well, I wish they had more picks. I'm like, yeah, so do I. They don't. They got Montez Sweat and Keenan Allen instead. The things that people are poking at are very, very easy to dismiss. Again, without even getting into the evaluation of the quarterback, it is just so refreshing. Like the conversations that people like, it's just such a tired thing. And one of the things I really love, and I know I'm going to take this off course a little bit, is that like the bear claw thing. I don't know when Rome Odunze and Caleb Williams decided to make this a thing. I'm in. And I know, and I've seen it. And like, there was a guy who responded, because I made this remark to, I think, a Bears post, who's like, nope, it's zesty as hell. And I'm like, okay, listen, sir, you're much too old to be using. First of all, I don't think you know what zesty means. And number two, you're much too old for this. I know, because I have my finger on the pulse, because I coach 10U girls soccer, and the phrases that they use will never come out of my mouth. And they use zesty, and it's not positive. And I'm like, I don't know if you know what it means, sir. Like, you're the Steve Buscemi meme right now, going, hello, fellow youth. Like, nope. I love it. And I love everything. And that's another, like, and Mark kind of touched on it at the top. It's like the way this guy just carries himself. Like, I kind of appreciate the fact that people, and not Chicago fans, but people around the NFL are going to grow to not like him because he's going to be so good. Like, you feel the world turning on Patrick Mahomes right now for no reason. Like, there's nothing that he's done other than win Super Bowls. But like, there's no reason to not like him. It's like, I'm sort of sick of Mahomes. Like, of course you are. I think Caleb's going to be that kind of guy. And I think he's going to get under the skin of opponents, and he's really going to bother people. And it's just going to be a great time.
So we are brought to you today with Adam Rank, the Monday after the draft, by our friends at ButcherBox. Go to butcherbox.com/CHGO. Incredible deals on premium cuts from ButcherBox. And yes, free meat plus $20 off on your first box. ButcherBox.com/CHGO presenting us today. So, all right. How high is up in your mind here, Adam? We don't need to go through the roster again, because everybody knows it. Now we've got apparently the greatest punter in the history of the game. We'll talk about Tory Taylor a little bit later. I didn't go nuts when we drafted a punter, but I'm coming around. I spent like half of my weekend watching videos on this guy and stories. So I'm wondering, what do you think is realistic on April the 29th? Way before training camp here. OTA is right around the corner. What do you like? Where do you see this team in 2024? Is it just a playoff team, or is it more?
No, I think a playoff team is a realistic expectation, because there's still going to be a lot of like growing into yourselves and learning how to win on the NFL level. And one of the things that they need to shore up, and I don't know how quickly Caleb will make the impact here. It could be, immediate. But it's winning those games in the fourth quarter, closing out games. I mean, everybody knows the story. 7 wins, 3 losses where we had over a 90% chance of winning in the fourth quarter. those games need to be cleaned up. And if you start to do that, then you start to build a winning organization. So I truly believe, I'll go on, me, I'm going to go on NFL Network and I'm going to pick us to win 12 games. And that's just kind of what I do. And now it's going to be
Seems
more
a little
believable.
low there, Rank.
Maybe a little low. Maybe 14-3. I'm not afraid to do it. I honestly believe that they have a better team than the Vikings right now. And I am still not convinced. I stand with Kwani B. I'm with him. Kwani B and I last summer bonded. We were playing in a Cam Hayward's Celebrity Softball Classic, and my glove disappeared. And I'm a lunatic for my baseball glove that I've had since I was about 10 years old. Wore it all the way through high school at Corona High, which you might recognize. You're like, where do I know that name? Oh, yeah, the number one high school in the world right now in baseball. When I got cut from Cal, I don't want to say like Cal State Fullerton was ever interested in me. I wore it to the tryout when Cal State Fullerton was like, "No, you're not good enough." For there, but I've always had it with me. So I'm at this tournament and my glove disappears. I'm like, it's unbelievable because like my two water bottles are there, and like I'm like, this is wild that my glove is all of a sudden disappeared. And then I realized like, oh my God, because I'm one of the few left-handed people. There's a lefty out there running around, and it was Kwani B. Somebody grabbed my glove. They couldn't get the brand new glove they had just given us. They gave him a worn-in Mizuno, which was probably better for him. And then so I went up. I'm like, hey, dude, that's my glove. I'm like, you can use it. I go, I swear to God, if it would have been like Christian Watson or somebody, I would have walked out onto the field. And of course, I would have made somebody record this because it would have been great. And I would have taken the glove from them and be like, no, this can't happen. I would have grabbed a mic and been like, hold on, we need to make a substitution. So after each half inning, Kwani B and I would hey, here's the glove. And each time we would say the word F, but we'd say all four letters, F the Packers. And I said it to him the first time, and I'm like, I don't know. Like some players don't really vibe that. He was into it. So we've always been boys, and I look at him. This wasn't even the question, and I don't know why I'm telling this story, but I agree with him. And last year, at the end of last season, he's like, I don't think they're that good. I'm like, yeah, I'm with you. Like, I got your back on this. So I really do believe the Bears, as it stands right now, I think playoffs, at worst, the second best team in the division. And I think that we can have that expectation because the team was good. And listen, it's not just us. Sauce Gardner was saying it recently, too. Like, how do the Bears have 2 picks in the top 10? It doesn't seem fair. So if you don't want to listen to us goofballs, us meatballs, at least take it from Sauce Gardner.
You just sent me on a Jaquan Brisker Twitter, just everything he's tweeting about, which, I mean, he's got some brilliance on there, and then we got to work on his basketball takes. But I do love his optimism, and I think it is interesting that you brought him up because – how much he was invested in Justin and just a guy like that in the locker room moving along.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're, starting to come around to the hype. It'll be exciting once they all get into Hallis Hall here soon for rookie minicamp and OTA and all that stuff. Definitely here on the other side of this, I want to ask you about some specific things in regards to the drafts and some different players on the team and their reactions. So, but before we do, want to give once again another shout out to ButcherBox. Head over to butcherbox.com/CHGO. Easily find high quality meat and seafood you can trust. 100% grass fed beef, free range organic chicken, pork, raised, crate free, and wild caught seafood. They're raised right, no antibiotics, no added hormones, delivered right to your doorstep, free shipping, always curated to customized box plans, a variety of high-quality cuts at an amazing value, exclusive member deals, recipe, inspiration, guides, tips, and hacks. The convenience ButcherBox has brought. It's one of those things that, when you're trying to find convenience, ButcherBox is going to make sure to do it right for you. Less trips to the grocery store, always prepared with meat in the freezer, curated tips and recipes based on your box value. So the prices are as good as it gets. And you're not going to find better prices at the grocery store. You're going to find them with ButcherBox. So hit up ButcherBox. They're offering all listeners an amazing offer where new users can get free meat plus $20 off your first box. Join today using our link, butcherbox.com/CHGO, and use code CHGO to receive this exclusive offer today before time runs out.
Prize Picks, the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. All you got to do is pick more, pick less, 2 to 6 player stat projections. Just go on there right now. I'm talking to you, Jaquan Brisker, and just take less and everything LeBron tonight as he gets eliminated for the 7 zillionth time. That's what you should do. Take more on Jokic. Take more on pick a nugget, any nugget, and then you're in on the playoff action. You can win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks as you and the world best players take the game to a new level during the postseason here. And yes, 4 correct picks, more or less, you can turn $10 into 1,000. Basketball, hockey, wherever you want to do it. So, Stanley Cup playoffs going on as well. It's America's #1 fantasy app. You will love this one. You will thank us for it. Go to prizepicks.com/CHGO. Use CHGO for first deposit match up to $100. That is prizepicks.com/CHGO. Use code CHGO. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. All right.
So, rank real quick. Because you were in Chicago over the last weekend. You were doing some live shows, hanging out with fans, doing a live stream during the draft. Obviously, I'd love to know your different reactions to the different picks, but you were also doing these shows with Tyler Scott, wide receiver here on the Bears. Obviously, that room's been significantly upgraded, which I'd love to hear what he was saying to you, what his reaction was as the draft unfolded, and his excitement level here heading into the offseason. Because, the room gets a little more crowded, but at the same time has to open up some opportunities for him to start making some plays as well.
Well, I think, number one, the players will recognize how good Caleb Williams is. And even it's not being dismissive of Justin Fields. And I think that we've all worked in jobs where, hey, people that we really like either get transferred out or something happens. And, there is a little bit of a learning curve with the new guy, but I think that but people like these guys are not obtuse to football and they know who Caleb Williams is. And it's not going to take very much time for them to get invested in him. And Tyler was, I believe, already starting to talk to him and everything like that. And it was great. And he was on our show too, the Sick Podcast with Adam Rank, talking about like how the number 13 switch came down because it's like what really happened. And so he kind of went there. It was as much as he could talk about. So it was pretty fun. But when you're young, and again, I don't mean to put words in his mouth. And so this is me talking. And this is what what I'm looking at is a rational human being is like, look, Keenan Allen is a great player and this is a great opportunity. And it's a great chance to go out there and learn from one of the best and to go out there and kind of do your thing. And for those of you who don't know, I did spend some time, and I still do this, doing stand-up comedy. And sometimes when you're at the Comedy Store and you've got a slot, they're like, hey, David Spade's dropping in for a pop in, or Bill Burr or somebody like that. You're like, yeah, you're going to go down the list a little bit. That doesn't mean that I'm not funny. That doesn't mean that I'm not a good performer, but somebody has reached a certain stage in their life that I have not gotten there yet. And one of the things that I really like about Tyler's demeanor is that this is the opportunity to be part of a great team. Like that's ultimately what you want to be, is part of a great team. And you look at any of the good teams, look at the Chiefs, you look at the guys who've been contributing since Tyreek Hill went away. Like there's a bunch of guys who make big plays and you're like, oh my gosh, like this guy scored a touchdown. Like the NFL is the record books are filled with guys who step up when they are given their opportunity. And I think that's what somebody like Tyler Scott is looking for. Like, just give me the opportunity. And it's going to open up. I think having a better wide receiver room, like think about it. Like when people were talking about the weapons, I'm always one of the ones we're like, hey, Tyler Scott's in there too. And he's going to have a chance to go out there and do some things. And even like Bayless, when you look at him, like with the way that they've changed the rules for kickoffs and everything too, like there are going to be chances for these guys. Now, I know for fantasy purposes, it's going to be frustrating for them. And I already see it with people like, I wish Rome Odunze didn't go to the Bears. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. It's fine. I'll live with it. But at the same time, like if it makes your team better, that's ultimately what you want. And I think that talking to Tyler a little bit, and of course he had to run off to Soldier Field that night too, and before the pick was made. And I said, listen, I go, it's just, we're going to have a better team. And that's what you want. And that's what's going to be better for you ultimately over the course of your career. And he understands that. And I think most of these players here understand that. And, you know, they also played college football where guys were being recruited behind them. So it's not an unfamiliar territory, but I think that they're ready for the challenge. And it really will, you know, I know it's a cliche to be iron sharpens iron, but it really is what makes you better. And I think when you look at this wide receiver room compared to what Justin Fields went through, how could you not be excited?
Right. Well, to your point about the Chiefs and everybody eating, I mean, the year they won the Super Bowl a few years back, the running back won Super Bowl MVP, right? Yeah. Or, you know,
he should have. Well, I don't know.
Or no, he should have, but he got the game-winning touchdown, I should say.
Yeah.
And then here this last year, look who gets the game-winning touchdown. You know, so it's like
even Kadarius Toney had a big play in the Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Like, there's opportunities for everybody.
Right. So Tyler Scott might be that guy one of these days.
Rising tide lifts all boats, and I just feel so grateful myself to be around the guy that raises the tide every day, and that's you, Gregory.
That's right. That's right.
And I'm rising myself. But, you know, to your point, Adam, Tyler Scott, who I like, who I think is a class guy, who I think is talented.
Yep.
He is not a number one wide receiver in the NFL. I don't know if he would say that, but like I think most, obviously, I don't think anybody would argue with that. But he can become such a more effective player when you a gadget guy that can make a lot more money when he's surrounded by DJ and Rome and Keenan and having Caleb. Like it's a great opportunity for him to take himself. And it's the same thing everywhere else on the team. I also look at, like, did Shane Waldron come here because he was desperately wanted to be Matt Eberflus's offensive coordinator, or did he, one of the more sought after guys, see a guy in Caleb thinking like, this dude can raise me up to the level where perhaps I can be a head coach?
Right.
And look. Yeah. I mean, it was very interesting how much buy-in there was around the NFL from Eric Washington to Shane Waldron to be on this coaching staff on a potential lame duck dude. If it doesn't go this well this year for Matt Eberflus, he's going to be in trouble. But these guys all came here, and it speaks to the Bears culture, but I think it also speaks to the quarterback that's coming in here. Tell me why you're excited about the punter, Sir Rank.
I'm excited to hear this too. I'm sure
because we do have needs at edge. I thought we had some needs at safety. I wouldn't have minded another quarterback. There's a lot of names that went after that. I was like, could use that guy, but I guess you're
the punter from down under.
I love the story, but like it was a luxury pick. That's all. It was a luxury pick.
You got an Australian. Like it's never going to be like if you're watching a golf tournament where you're rooting for Adam Scott. I think back in the days, Patty Mills. I think every team
he won 3 championships with Luke Longley.
Yeah, you know, right there it is. I should have used a more Chicago-centric example. Outside of Tottenham Hotspur, I think that most teams with Australians excel. Darren Bennett was the longtime punter of the San Diego Chargers, and it was great. But I think it really it goes to show you, like, listen, I can't believe this is the thing that bothers me, is that we spent how many years trying to get Devin Hester into the Hall of Fame. And what was our reasoning? We'd be like, hey, football's got to win all 3 phases of the game. Special teams are super important. And so now we get Devin Hester into the Hall of Fame, and now we're like, who cares? We don't care about special teams anymore. No, this is a Chicago Bears pick. See, 20 years from now, we're going to be trying to put this guy into the Hall of Fame, being like, punters change the game. I always made the joke when I was playing. I'm like, I asked the punter one time when I was in high school, I'm like, do you care if we win? Like, you only get to play when it sucks. And he's like, no, like everything is an opportunity. He's like, my job is to try to pin the ball inside the 5 or flip field position and do stuff like that. I thought the Bears did a very terrible job of that last year. Like, there's so many times you're like, oh my God, like, why can't we get somebody who's out there like he's got a 60-degree Cleveland wedge, just dropping it inside the 5 as much as anything. Like, we need, you need help pass rushers, or we got good secondary. All that stuff is like
Adam Hogue said he's like Scott Scheffler, just putting it where he wants to on the green.
Yeah, and it's a really valuable weapon. Like when you get into a spot where you're like, oh man, like this offensive series didn't work out, there was a penalty or something happened. Like just to be able to flip the field is so good because you just don't want teams starting with great field position. And I think it's such an underrated element of the game. Now you do run the risk of like trying to outsmart yourself, but I'm like, it's still the fourth round. Like it's not like we didn't pick Rome Odunze. Like we didn't pass up like a superstar, but we did draft a superstar. Andrew Siciliano even mentioned like we got USC's, Washington's, and Iowa's biggest superstars in this draft.
Yep.
And it's one of those things I truly believe that, years down the road, and I know we missed out on some guys, and you'll always go through the old drafts and be like, oh my God, I can't believe George Kittle lasted to the 5th round or whatever it is. But like, I'm sure there were people in that draft being like, why are we wasting a 5th round pick on George Kittle? Like, this is a lot. Like we have Vernon Davis. We don't even need him. I think over the next couple of years, we'll be like, I'm glad we have this guy. And I think his personality will shine through and he will end up being a fan favorite and he will be here for a long time. And he's an Iowa guy, so he's somewhat local.
Braggs, do you know what Tory Taylor did after high school?
He worked construction.
I
haven't found out what trade though.
Okay.
Did you find out what trade yet?
I don't know the trade.
This is a bricklayer. Then it's all.
I was going to say, yeah. You know what? I don't like the generalization of construction,
right?
Especially with Bragg sitting right there.
Yeah, not all trades are created
like,
equal.
Hey, like, oh yeah,
sure.
this guy's he's a doctor. You're like, oh wow, that's pretty impressive. Like, well, chiropractor. Like it's different.
Right. If you're putting it on the ranking trade scale, like it was like, oh, bricklaying, that's a tough job. It is a tough job, but roofing is by far and away the hardest you can do. Carpentry. Huh?
Could have been laying concrete.
I mean, concrete's certainly tough. Certainly tough. Anything outside, if I find out that all you do is hang out inside putting tile down, all due respect to the tile guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listening to music in the AC. Come on.
They know who they are. No, the tile guys know who they are. That's a very specific. That's a safety school type of like, I'm going into construction. What's the easiest thing I can do? Hell, that's what I would have done.
Right.
If I was like, don't put me outside.
Don't get it twisted. The guys doing the trim inside, they get the nice AC, but they also have to do these like precision cuts, which I never had the patience for. I'm a bull in a china shop, so I just rip it all up.
No.
I'd ruin all the trim. So
the finesse guys. All right, fair enough.
Let me read you one upper level vision tweet that I got today. I'm going to leave the name off of this one. It says, good morning, Mark. Like most Bears fans and media, I felt that on paper the Bears draft was one of the best drafts of all time. Okay? With all the picks and trades, Poles has proven himself to be one of the best GMs of all time. But for him to get into the rarefied air of the talent that Jim Finks put together, couple of names, Fensick, who was at our draft party, McMichael, Dent, Hilgenberg, Bortz, Thayer, Frazier, McKinnon, Moorhead. All these guys were late-round picks,
right,
or undrafted, period. He's right. These guys plugged up the remaining holes that high draft picks couldn't. Remember, there was little to no free agency back in those days. What's your problem?
Go ahead. Somebody said Braggs would be good for grabbing lunch on a job site. And
this is not rocking Poles. So I think this is fair. So far, Poles has proven himself to be a very good GM with low-hanging fruit of high draft choices, top-flight free agents. But truly great teams are finished with choosing and developing players like these. In essence, for the Bears to become a Super Bowl team, the next level for Poles is to, in my mind, it's like to find that Puka Nacua, whoever you want to name, late Romeo Dobbs, somebody like that to add into this mix, and then we're talking about something really special. You think that's fair?
By the way, this is how shattered we are. Do not put Romeo Dobbs in the same conversation as Puka Nacua. The Packers have hurt us so much that we concede so much. We give them so much leeway that they don't deserve. Like Puka Nacua is an excellent player, but to your point, I think that is the thing that we need, that Ryan Poles really needs to hit on. I think like some of the guys like Tyreek Stevenson, I thought that was a pretty good pick. Smith is pretty good as well. Some of the other guys.
Austin Booker be that guy?
That's the thing. That's where we need. Yeah, it's a very good. Braxton Jones.
If he does, it's a grand slam.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Like that is and that's one of those ones that the draft nerds are like, ooh, good pick and everything like that. But it's a matter of getting those guys to hit. That truly does turn a franchise around. Is when you can get a couple of those guys to hit. And again, going back to Braxton Jones. If he continues to develop, and obviously they're putting a lot of faith in him, they did not go out there and use a high leverage draft pick on an offensive tackle again this year. That would be one where you could look back and be like, if he ends up really developing in his third season, which we all hope that he can, and I think that he will, that'll be one where you can be like, all right, Poles was cooking with that one.
What's your biggest concern going forward here, Adam? Let's throw one. I don't know if I want to call it cold water, but like concern for 2024 is
making sure it's not closing out games. I think that's been a concern over the last number of years. Even 2 seasons ago, where we were scoring 30 points a game, and it was a fun time to be a Bears fan because like, hey, we're losing, but now we're losing 33-30 instead of some other things. And then last year, dropping those close games in the fourth quarter. Now it's taking that extra step. And if, again, if we're sitting there week 1 and thank God we're not going to have to play the Packers in week 1. So we won't, they're going to be in Brazil or whatnot.
Yep.
Give us, that's the thing. Like throw us a bone, like throw us the Panthers or something like that. But that is the truth fear. And I worry about Chicago's psyche if they have the stomach to put up, if like it's going to take a couple of games to get things going. I meant to, and I should have done this before he came on, but to see because I don't remember Houston just hitting the ground running like immediately. Like it took them a couple of weeks to get going. So I really do hope that, the fan base and everybody can kind of still, have the high expectations, which we should have, but also understand there might be some points where it's not going to be pretty, but just get through that. But the team needs to move. The team needs to get better. We need to see some improvement in like late game situations. Like Matt Eberflus called it out when he was talking about Caleb Williams. Like there was a definite shot about like, hey, I want somebody who performs well in the fourth quarter. Like same goes for you, like you also have to be accountable in that aspect too. And I don't want to be in week 9 being like, hey, things are slowly like, no. It's got to start coming together. Eberflus has been here long enough to be like, figure out how to win games. You've been an NFL or you've been a football coach forever. Figure it out. And if we don't see that, and that's a big fear of mine. But again, I have confidence. I have confidence in the glow up and all that stuff. So I'm good. But yeah, that is the small nagging fear I do have.
It's really well said. Situational football is going to be paramount to Matt Eberflus here this year. The personnel, I don't think there's any questioning what this roster looks like. So polls check, roster check, quarterback check. Now it's time for the coaches to cash in their check. But final thing before we let you go, rank your grade. We're going to be doing our grades on the other side. What is your final grade? I know sometimes those can be kind of a silly exercise, but we'll ask you anyway. What's your final grade for Ryan Poles in the 2024 draft?
I mean, you have to give him an A. Again, just coming in with two players in the top 5, I think just says enough. Like that says it all. And it kind of gave you a little bit of leeway to take some chances, to take a developmental tackle. I kind of like it. I like taking a tackle who's a little bit of a development guy because, again, we might need a swing guy at some point this season. We've seen it time and time again. I would have liked perhaps to the thing that keeps it from an A+ is like I still would have liked one more. Like I wish we could have found a way to get in on one of those interior offensive linemen that were going. Like it was tough to see JPJ go and Frazier go to the Steelers. And you're like, I don't know what it would have cost, but at the same time, we did keep a lot of draft capital. Didn't get wild. I think that if it had been a previous regime, we probably wouldn't have a first round pick next year, and we would have done something wild.
Yeah.
But you know what? Level-headedness, I think an A. And you know what? I'm willing to give him. You find a way to get and listen, everybody's seen tweets. Everybody's put out the same tweet about like, here's essentially what the Bears draft was: is Rome Odunze and Keenan Allen and Montez Sweat. Like, okay, we've seen that one. So I will allow the luxury pick. Like last night, I was taking my daughter out. She wanted to go buy an outfit. She's going to do teacher for a day on Wednesday, and she wanted this little pink purse. It was, I don't know, wasn't really budgeted for, but you know what? Like sometimes you got to allow the accessory because they've been doing a good job. So you acquiesce to that. So if he wants to take the punter, I'm down with it. I think overall an A, with the opportunity, of course, to be an A+.
Well, you're an ace in our book, Adam Rank. We appreciate you coming on here once again to CHGO Bears. Make sure everybody's checking out the Sick podcast with Adam Rank.
Damn straight.
Carmi V's always on there. Sometimes he even asks my crazy ass to get on there. It's a great pod, and of course, all the great work you do on NFL Network, helping everyone win fantasy championships. I'm sure there will be a lot of Bears going early this year.
Adam,
You know
you're
what?
the best.
No, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you. That's all I had. But thanks. No, I always appreciate you guys coming on and being very generous with giving me the opportunity. I'm a huge fan of this network, and I'm a huge fan of you guys, and it's been fun to hang out with you at Super Bowls. Sorry that I missed you on the draft, but hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be able to come out for one of the camps, and for sure for training camps. I can't wait to do it, but
Well,
I
let
just
me know
wanted to
when you
thank
do,
you.
and we'll hit up a Cubs game, all right?
All right, yeah, I'm in.
All right, sounds good.
Adam Rank, the
Yes,
Sick
sir.
Podcast, NFL Network, friend of the program, leader, superstar, Bears optimist.
Our leader meatball on Bears Twitter.
Hey, there's good. Meatball Island's filling up, man. Let's
go.
It might have to be even renamed. Like
Yeah.
it could be Meatball to Caleb Island. You're just on Caleb Island, man.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
Adam, see you soon, brother.
All right, thanks so much, guys. We'll see you later.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
All right, Gregory.
Yes. Yes, sir.
Where are people going to get Bears tickets this year?
Man, scoop them up while you can. The schedule release will be coming out in just a matter of weeks. And when it does, you're going to want to hit up the Game Time app. Make sure you use the code CHGO for $20 off with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seats, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. Again, views from all seats in the venue, really good interactive, website that helps you kind of see where your, vantage point is. Lowest price guarantee, event cancellation protection, and job loss protection. So they take care of the customers in the event of an emergency. See the view from your seat before you buy, so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total up front, so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Nothing worse than those secondary market ticket places that trick you, get you down 3 different windows, and before you know it, all the taxes, it's way different than the price they're advertising. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps, and now they're yours. So once again, take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Use their flash deals and their zone deals with 18% savings. And download the Game Time app, create an account, use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? If you are, we've got some great news for you. It's our partner, Ray Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Fox Lake, celebrating the Jeep Celebration event all month long. For a limited time, you can lease a new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo Altitude for $439 a month for 39 months. And if the Jeep Grand Cherokee isn't big enough for you, check out the third row in the new 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited L for a mere $40 more a month, $479 for $30 for 39 months. So listen, at Ray CDGR, you're going to be able to shop one of Chicago's largest inventories. You're going to drive home with money in your pocket, and you are going to do that thanks to the Ray Price Promise. Don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long. And by the way, that is not all. Just for listening, you get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center or mention CHGO when you book online at raycdjr/service. You got to schedule it before April 30th. That's tomorrow, so get going. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, check out the team at Ray Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. The only team we recommend. Visit them today, Route 12 in Fox Lake. For more information, visit RayCDJR in Fox Lake or raycdjr.com. Serving the community since 1963. All right, so shout out to Ray Scarpelli, too, who showed up at our draft party on Friday night. Shout out to everybody who showed up on Thursday, on Friday. Shout out to Dalton and the Sheriffs. Shout out to me for my amazing performance on stage. We'll get to that in about, 25 minutes here, maybe 20 right at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. But we're going to do our grades here.
Yes, sir.
And this was not the most difficult exercise. But
a fun exercise.
It was fun, and I tried to.
Not a miserable one like some draft grade years past.
Yeah, I tried to be the sober one on the show on these grades because somebody's got to do it, and I will be that guy and try to at least.
You got to offset my drunkenness of stupidity.
And yes, and I mean trying to look at it
ballery.
Try to look at it logically as what they perhaps could have missed. But Braggs, why don't you start out with your grades, my brother, and go through your excitement? And I just can't wait to listen to you talk about how Ryan Poles and the Bears are headed to the Super Bowl, damn it, sooner than later.
Yes, I will try to contain my Super Bowl excitement, but you can't hold me down long. Eric Beauchamp in the chat asking, when is the next Bears After Dark? That will be tonight at 7 p.m. Central. Corey Wooten will give his reaction to finally getting an edge rusher here at the back end of the draft, or our last pick of the draft. But we're going to start with our first pick, Caleb Williams, A+++++++. Ryan Poles, you get an A+ for spinning that magic, spinning the rock. I mean, hey, who would have thought 2 years ago when we were all sitting here arguing about learning to win? Shout out to the learning to win crowd 2 years ago that really needed the Bears to win games. Sorry, they didn't win those games. Luckily for us, they didn't, because that made the Bears have the number 1 pick 2 years in a row.
Dunk on him, Gregory.
With the Carolina. I will alley-oop, windmill, Michael Jordan, slam dunk.
Didn't need
to win. Didn't need to win. I'll show off these beauties right now.
Okay,
come on now.
I didn't mean to do that. I'm really sorry I just said that.
Come on, these tree trunks. You said show the legs off. That's what we're going to do here.
It was a mistake. My fault. It's on me.
Caleb Williams is an A+. Ryan Poles gets an A+ for turning that into one of the greatest moments in Chicago Bears history. For once, the Bears didn't have the number 2 pick or the number 3 pick or the number 4 pick, and having to figure out what they're going to do with their future, trying to rationalize, Jaden Daniels really isn't that much different than Caleb Williams. I could already hear the rationalization now had that been the case of who we drafted. Nope, this time we get the premier Bear Claw, Caleb Claw, number 1 pick, franchise quarterback, number 1 quarterback prospect to many since Andrew Luck, and he falls right into our laps, courtesy of Lovie Smith, the Indianapolis Colts, and Ryan Poles. So he is my A+++++++.
Do you remember that after the insane touchdown pass that the great Houston Texans were able to throw, they still had to go for 2?
Right.
They still had to go for 2.
And if I have to continue to toot my own horn, which I'm happy to do, as everyone knows, if you go back and watch that clip, we were A, all going crazy, and B, I was the only one on set saying, go for it. Everybody else said, take the point. And I said, go for the win right here, right now. Lovie Smith, onions, baby. Got us that number 1 pick 2 years in a row.
Shout out to the Swersk. Okay. Show's over at 1.
Show is not over at 1.
That's a good point. Show's over at some point today. Do you want to go through the next 4, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to go through them quicker. I'm sorry. Rome Odunze, A+. Didn't add the other pluses, but, man, what an ace of a pick at the number 9 pick. I mean, Daniel Jeremiah's favorite player in the draft, and we get him at 9. You know, he was number 3 on our Bears 100 draft guide, and we get him at 9. Are you kidding me? Dude has unbelievable talent. We got Keenan Allen on the team as a vet, and then we have young Keenan Allen with immense talent coming to the team right now to be mentored by older Keenan Allen. I mean, this is dream scenario that we and oh, by the way, Keenan Allen still got a lot left in the tank if you watch his year last year. So, I mean, it's just a dream scenario. I think Mel Kiper had him number 3 on his board as well. I mean, it was a pretty deep, stacked wide receiver class all the way across the board, but especially those top 3 guys. And for the Bears to come away with that was one of the more special moments. I mean, the Caleb Williams moment was awesome, but we knew it was coming. Rome Odunze falling to 9 after J.C. Latham and Michael Penix Jr. get picked, the 2 picks before, was, for me, one of my favorite moments as a Bears fan. So that gets an A+, no doubt about it. So do you want to take it from here? Because I'm doing a lot of talking.
No, I'm enjoying listening to you, but
I'm
I'm
sure
sure
you
I
are.
can. If you want to put up the Carm grades, this is more, slightly more sober. But of course, I'm giving A's. I'm not going to go, your plus. These guys aren't 6 years old. This is actual. We are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate teachers that used to do that when I was 9.
Yeah.
Except for one Mrs. Carp who always gave me good and gave all the girls like extraordinary. Just didn't like me. I'm always going to get whenever I get a chance to call it grades, I'm teeing that one up. But A for, of course, A, and I mean, really, I should have gone A+++ for Caleb, because listen, every time this dude talks, I'm getting more and more excited about him, and it's like nearly impossible to do that. Rome is another A. The A in that one is that, and I love that Poles called it out, he was thinking about trading up. He leaned on his right-hand man, Ian Cunningham, who told him, do not do anything. Just sit there and make the pick. We don't need to give up assets. He's going to fall to us. So that, to me, is the A. I mean, we're talking about the draft. Like, there's no rocket science at taking Caleb Williams. All that stuff happened before. So this is just how I'm looking at it. In the moment, now, Kiran Amegadjie at 75. There's a lot of players taken after him that I'll be paying attention to, which is why I'm giving a C+.
Like?
Jonah Ellis went 1 pick later, gets to the quarterback. Fascinating story with him, too, by the way. His dad was a first-round defensive tackle. I mean, really good family history there, productive player. I'll be paying attention to him. Adisa Isaac went to the Ravens. People were all over that pick. Brugler had a 2nd-round grade on him. Like, there's just a lot. If you go,
Ravens know what they're doing.
Ravens know what they're doing. So we're taking a dude who's coming off a major calf injury, played 4 games. Yes, he's played tackle and guard, but I was having a hard time in the moment getting excited about that pick. I have, the interviews I've seen and reading up on him, seems like a great dude, Bears fan, great story, all of it, not ruling it out, but I'm giving it a C+. Tory Taylor, what did I give Taylor? A C? Look, it's a luxury pick. I get it. I know he has value.
Wow, we still can't get you up on Tory, huh?
Well, I was at an F in the moment, so I've come up from an F to a C.
So you have come up.
Yeah, I've come up. I would say I've come up significantly. Look, great story. Punters matter. And if you really didn't believe in Trenton Gill and he had a bad year last year, signing a veteran punter is going to cost you dough. So you're saving yourself money there. Like, I get all of that. And then I also look at guys like TJ Tampa, who had a 2nd-round grade, who went after him. Like, there was a run on running backs there. I know that would have been a luxury pick too, but I'm having a hard time really getting excited about a punter when you're still building this roster. We haven't reached elite range yet, which is why I'm giving an A to Austin Booker. To trade back in, to get a guy of high talent who most people had a 3rd-round grade on, to get him at 144 is a great job by Ryan Poles. It's an aggressive move. You're giving up a 4th-round pick next year, which, for a 5th-round pick now, which makes a whole lot of sense. It's not an overpay, and they need him. So I absolutely support that move 1,000%, and it's in the moment, it settled me down on doing the luxury thing with Tory, which I do kind of wonder, like, if you loved Booker, why wouldn't you take him at 122 and then maybe you – but they obviously they loved Tory Taylor. And I did a lot of work, Braggs, on Taylor. Yes. So, I mean, you know all this stuff too, but first of all, can we – you want a Carm nitpick?
I would love it.
Would you? I don't know if you would love this one, but I'm going to give you the nitpick anyway. And by the way, you're my guy, Kevin Warren. You're trying to do everything you can to get the Bears in Chicago, and I'm supporting you in it. But does Kevin Warren belong on the phone calls to the draft picks on the day of? Here's Matt Eberflus. Here's Ryan Poles.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels a little odd to me. Like you're the president. You're the CEO. Let's not blur the lines that, like, you can meet these dudes when they come here.
Because McCaskey isn't in there taking the next,
Yeah, is Virginia up? I mean, we're going to go to Georgia and then Virginia. How many calls is he going to take? And by the way, if we are going to do the calls, he was on there with, for Caleb. He was on there for Rome. Well, when Tory Taylor took his call, at the back end, they're like, should we give him to Kevin? He's like, no, it's okay. So he didn't even talk to the punter. Dog the punter. Well, you in, you out. And by the way, I don't think you should be in on these calls. Like, this is not your. It's a little too much.
It's clear that Kevin, he's the CEO, so he can do what he wants.
Yes, he can. But so, like, know your place.
Right. At the same time, like, I think we all understand now, he likes to be front facing on the camera.
Sure does.
He likes to overcook the ham, and
oh my God, you're gonna.
But at the end of the day, results are all that I care about. And Ted Phillips was behind the camera, the man behind the curtain, and anytime he did pop his head up, he'd piss me off. And the results were never there. So for Kevin Warren, as long as the results are there, then he can essentially do whatever he wants, and I'm going to be fine with it. But the results still have to take place. But to this point, he's definitely putting himself out there, having a lot of puff piece articles written about him, and certainly putting on a show for this fight for a stadium, where he wants it. So this is how he moves. He moves in a very political way. There's no question about it.
He's in the middle of everything, and maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. I just was watching him like, this feels a little bit off. But back to Tory, and I see people saying I'm going to eat my words. Listen, this is not anything to do with Tory Taylor. We got to have a little bit of separate. I'm not saying he's not going to be great. I'm not saying that the Bears don't need him. I'm just saying they got a lot of other needs, and so it just.
I think the argument is, though, that this wasn't a deep draft.
I get
so
that.
If there was ever a year you're going to take a punter who was already, from a lot of analysts, including Adam Hogue, said to be going in the 4th round or that range. This isn't a very deep draft. That is a need on the team. That is a player that can be a day one impact player. So those are the arguments for why you would take him now.
Carman, to your point, I think they could have just traded down and gotten him still. Yeah, to me, that's a better draft pick at that point. I like the Tory Taylor pick. I'm just the 4th round. That seems a little rich.
It would have been interesting too, like if they had drafted Booker and then traded in and picked Taylor. My reaction probably would have been just different. But regardless, I'm not losing sleep over it. It's fine. He's
need a punter. He's going to end up being one of your favorite players. I guarantee it.
He probably will end up being somebody.
Guarantee it.
I'm going to talk to him.
You're going to have a locker room crush in a matter of weeks.
I already do. So this dude stopped playing Australian rules football, by the way, at 14 on my deep dive, for people who haven't done the deep dive on him. So he's like, yeah, no, not interested in this anymore. And then he gets out of high school, doesn't know what he wants to do. He's working at a golf course. He's doing construction. He's following the Carman Bragg's plan. I'm vending. You're laying bricks. He has no clue what he wants to do. But then he wakes up and he realizes that he wants to try to transition from Australian to American football. So he gets himself in Pro Kick Australia. But he was like on the fence with them for 2 years nearly. In 2017, he started talking to him. So by 2019, he had enough fun or not fun doing construction and everything else. He was like, all right, I'll take a shot at it. And then Iowa comes to recruit him, and we're going to get an Iowa coach on here this week, hopefully. I went to the University of Iowa. If you don't come on the show, I'm really freaking pissed at you. But so anyway.
Maybe they know that you are this big Northwestern guy, and they're like,
that's possible.
You,
and maybe
Nick make the call.
Maybe they checked my GPA and realized that he barely graduated, and I don't want to be on that show. but somehow this guy did get through. Thank you, the University of Iowa. But he's looking at it like, I ain't going to Iowa. It's in the middle of nowhere. But then he eventually was like, oh, great family atmosphere. I can see myself there. And he had a weird thing where because he's coming from Australia, he couldn't participate despite his popularity in NIL. So he's selling all these shirts. Punting is whatever it is. Punting is fun.
Punting is winning.
Punting is winning. So because he can't make the dough, he enrolls with a charity to try to, give back. Count the Kicks. Do you know about this?
No, I don't.
So Count the Kicks, it's stillbirth prevention, raise awareness. Count the kicks, like in the third trimester, counting the kicks of the baby. And he ends up raising a ton of dough, which is super freaking awesome, right? So this guy is like, okay, I can't make dough, but maybe that wasn't even that important to him. I'm sure making dough is important to everyone, but I can't, and maybe we would have done this regardless. But either way, he went and gave back, and there's videos of him with children that count the kicks. This kid might not have made it had they not been doing what needed to be done in the third trimester. So super, super tender. So this is a great guy. He's going to be supremely popular.
Super talented.
He's super talented.
A weapon
at punter.
Weapon.
So I enjoyed my.
They had 5 picks. They drafted 3 weapons and 2 guys that have high upside development type potential and titles attached to their name.
Do you know whose first game was against? Not that you root for
Purdue.
them. Yeah. Oh, you do.
Yeah,
Not
Purdue.
that you root for them in football, just in basketball where they're good.
Yeah. I'm a Notre Dame football fan who's been wearing a lot of USC gear the last few days.
It's a sweet jersey.
But guess what?
You look good in it. Kiran's super interesting too, by the way. This guy had an investment banking internship when he was in college. Like, he did not necessarily anticipate that he was going to make it to the NFL before, he started to develop.
Well, and we didn't,
further.
Steven wasn't able to. We only had the 4 mics live on the stage, so Steven wasn't really able to chime in while we were live at Joe's on Wheat Street, and that was a great time over there. But Steven actually has some background on this guy because they work out at the same gym, right?
Yeah, he goes to my gym in Burr Ridge. Haven't seen him there too much recently. Obviously, he was in school. Extremely bright. Obviously, he goes to Yale. Speaks 3 languages, I believe, fluently.
You've spoken with him at the gym?
Yeah, more than once.
Outlift him?
Hell no. Yeah, I wish. First time I saw him, he was a senior in high school. He's wearing this blue Yale shirt. He's 6'6", 6'7". I'm like, this guy's got to be a ball player. I go up to him. I talk to him. I ask him about it. He's like, yeah, I'm actually committed. I'm going to be playing at Yale. And at the time, I asked him, well, what position are you playing? Because he was tall, but he wasn't really that wide yet. I'm like, maybe he's a tight end. I don't know. He says offensive lineman. He was a lot taller than he was wide at that point. He's obviously added a lot of weight since then. He played mostly guard at Yale, and then they kicked him outside to offensive tackle, where he's added a lot more size and weight. I believe he had an injury last year.
Yep.
Cut his season short. Yeah. But I think he's a developmental project. He's definitely a depth piece, and he's someone that could develop into a player that could be a fixture on the offensive line for years to come.
Well, it's the measurables, right? He's got the long arms,
yes,
and that's what you need on the outside, right? I mean, Gary Fensick spoke on that, Hogue, and the guys at Joe's. So, and in the trust in polls, process that I'm working through the last few years, look at what he did with Braxton Jones, and were people questioning that pick the day that pick was made?
No.
And, I'm sure there was somebody out there saying, look who was drafted behind him, and do we need Braxton Jones right now, developmental? So now you bring in Kiran and
Kiran,
I apologize. I'll get that. I keep doing that 100 times this weekend. But an opportunity to develop this guy into potentially a starter at some point down the road, whether it's guard or tackle.
Well, what I like about it is the physical traits are there. You are drafting somebody that they look at as, I don't know, potentially elite, but impactful. So they're taking a swing on somebody that, who knows, could end up passing Braxton Jones, could swing inside. Like, I get it, and maybe I think to me it reeks of somebody who they fell in love with the personality. Like, he went up to Matt Eberflus at a golf outing the year before and told him, hey, buddy, you're going to draft me next year. at Kemper Lakes. And now Flus is saying that he's got a golf partner. I'm not saying they just picked him because they loved him, but they definitely loved the intangibles on this guy.
He is extremely polite, very well spoken. I never felt like anytime I talked to him that I was being rushed out. He would take his time and he would make sure he answered all my questions, because I was always intrigued by, he's a college athlete. I'm a guy that covers sports. I want to talk about it. Very, very nice guy. He's going to be great in the locker room.
Well, and I think with both him and Austin Booker, who I want to talk about at least briefly, both guys that, other analysts out there said could have been higher grades, if not for the injury, could have been drafted higher, with Kiran. And then with Austin Booker, a guy that we had 61st on our Bears 100 draft guide, compliments of Nick Moriano and Adam Hogue's research and a lot of the hard work they put into that. But beyond that, even beyond our guys that analyze, Austin Booker could have had a higher grade. So, these are guys that have high-end potential that fell, for different reasons, injury or otherwise, and now the Bears are taking a shot at them. So, to me, if they hit on one or the other, if they hit on both, it's literally the greatest draft in Bears history, maybe short of Butkus and Sayers, Well, I don't think you're going to – I don't know if you're ever going to you might surpass Butkus and Sayers depending on what Caleb Williams does, for the Chicago Bears. But, obviously one of the greatest, drafts in recent memory, especially – if they hit on one of those two guys, especially if it's Austin Booker, in my opinion. Because
let me remind you about 1983, if I may. Can I do that to you?
Yes, sir. I know that they had a big impact on the 85 Bears.
Jimbo Covert, Hall of Famer, 6 overall.
Is Jimbo in? Yeah, Jimbo's in. That's right.
Speedy Willie Galt at 18. L.A. Mike
Willie Galt, rude to
at
my wife.
33.
Never forget.
Dave Dewerson, R.I.P., 64. We're 4 for 4. Tom Thayer, 91 overall, 4th-round pick.
Great Tom Thayer.
The great Tom Thayer. Now, they missed on Pat Dunsmore, tight end. Only 27 games. But next up, 8th round, Richard Dent, when he's still at 8 rounds, Hall of Famer. Mark Bortz in the 8th round. And I'll stop there. So, you had 2 Hall of Famers, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 starters.
But who did they pass on?
Dan Marino. Which, exactly. So if they
all those great players, but if they had just drafted Dan Marino and none of those players, which one would you take?
Great point. I would take Dan Marino because he's Dan frickin' Marino.
But your love, that was a tough question because your love affair and affinity for the 85 Bears, right?
Well, yes.
They changed.
Would you trade Dan Marino for Covert, Galt, Richardson, Dewerson, Thayer, and Dent? Probably
but you're essentially trading what happened with the 85 Bears.
Yeah.
In some ways.
Well, listen, if that era, NFC Championship in 84 all the way through 88 89 where they were in there. If that team had Dan Marino, you would think they would have won more.
But that's also the beauty of this draft. And I heard Carmi V make this point as well.
Shout out to Carmi V.
But this draft class and this team and this window of Caleb Williams in this new era, they have an opportunity for us to stop talking about the 85 Bears. All due respect. They've had enough time in the sun. And this is this team's opportunity to put a footprint on the next generation of Bears fans to where we're not continually bringing in Bears fans to a culture of the 85 Duh Bears SNL skits and start getting into a fresh look and a fresh team and a fresh face of this organization with Caleb Williams and company. That to me is pretty profound, and it's time to vault into the next generation of the NFL and become a passing team, become an offensive team, become a team that no longer talks about Bears of yesteryear and 85s of past.
Well, yeah, and look, we can move past 85. I don't know how we got there. It's probably my fault. But
just about best drafts ever.
I understand.
And this is only 5 picks.
That team,
some pretty significant ones.
That team, as great as they were, they played in one conference championship, after 85. They got smoked by the Niners in that game, and the only playoff game that they won after 85 was with Mike Tomczak at quarterback, and they beat Buddy Ryan and the Philadelphia Eagles. That was the only other win. So what could have been as far as
like Charlie the Bacon guy said, a fresh coat of paint.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. A fresh coat of paint on this Bears team is just what the doctor ordered for all of us that have been through tough times. You know, I'm approaching 40 years old. I was 2 months old when the Bears won the Super Bowl. I would love to see one in my adult lifetime, in my actually watching the team in my life. I would love to see that. And I know just watching what it did for the Blackhawks in their run over the last 10, 12, 15 years, how many young Blackhawks fans became because of that run, and what can Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, and Montez Sweat and all these great players do for the next generation of Bears fans that are all coming in.
So, and by the way, as we're going to pop up on our screen here, the franchise collection is available to you as we build our way towards a decade of dominance, damn it. Tough as nails, air it out, the franchise, three great opportunities. Greg Braggs, of course, has already bought all three.
I did.
We are.
And I bought. So this is the problem I'm in right now too. Is I got them 2X because then I might have to, because like I'm in this tweener spot. But for the air it out one, I got a 2X and an XL because I'm starting to get into the XL. It's hard. Like this is a 2X, but it's too big. But the XL, it's too tight, and then you see like my nipples poking through. So now I have to get like two shirts to like plan for if I ate Taco Bell the day before, or if I didn't eat Taco Bell, and I can like fit in it. This is what I'm going through right now, Carm.
Well, and I think it's great, Greg, that you bet on yourself versus bet against yourself.
But I hedged because I also got the 2X.
Yeah, I understand.
But yes. Go to chgolocker.com and get those shirts. And if you become a diehard, you can get one of those shirts for free right out the gate. If you go to allchgo.com, become a diehard, you get discounts on our merch, a free shirt right out the gate, and discounts on all future shirts, discounts on our events, including our tailgates. We do tailgates for every home game. Come on out to our tailgates. They've been great. So, yeah, and you get obviously exclusive access to all our written content. That's only exclusive to diehards, including Adam Hogue's weekly newsletter and, you know, all sorts of different stuff, not just with Bears content, but all Chicago sports across the board, here at CHGO Sports.
Reminder, we've got some major guests coming up later in the week. Caleb Williams oriented that I won't mention right now. But
wait, Caleb Williams is coming on the show?
Not Caleb yet.
I thought that's what he didn't. Is that what he just said?
Caleb oriented, not
Caleb oriented.
Hopefully we'll have Caleb too.
Well, I did threaten him that
Ema
ain't coming out the cage.
Yeah. Speaking of our diehards, by the way, I didn't get to read them at our draft party because we were so busy, and we have some new coming in today. So I got a good run for you here. You ready for the new diehards? We say thank you to one of them.
Oh, big time. We got a big run here.
Yeah. So, well, first off is David. I mean, the dude had a nasty curveball. He had a knack for picking up the tough yards. He wasn't appreciated by all, but he was appreciated by most of us.
Nasty curveball.
Yeah.
David Cohn?
There you go.
Hey. Got it.
Jason. He can scare you. Jason, you can. To your bones with his power and his tenaciousness. And is willing to do anything to get where he wants to go. He's a guy that plugs the holes and to do absolutely anything he can to win the game. Jason, welcome. You are now a diehard, my man Jason. And then Robert. The man can get to the QB. The man can get anywhere. The man will sit in a sauna and take it easy. He talks slowly. He talks easily. He means what he says. Don't go crossing him. My man, Robert. And what about Clay?
Do you think that was Robert Friel?
No. This is not the Clay.
What's that guy?
This is not the Clay that makes stuff up just for clicks and attention. This is the real Clay. This is the elite Clay. This is the Clay that you can mold, but also the Clay that found his own form. He's also dynamic with the ladies. Clay, I see you. Welcome to the diehards. Clay. And what about our guy Brandon? Living every day of his life to the fullest. Does not get cheated. The man believes when others don't. He's got vision. He shows passion for life. He's impossible to miss. He's a true leader. Brandon, welcome to the Diehards. And what about Dean? If you get this one, I'll be very impressed. Gregarious, talented, easy to love, a legend.
Yep.
Sponsors
loves motorcycles.
Sponsors come flying in for him. At his peak, no one could stop him. Just an absolute force. That's the Dean that we're talking about, and that force is flying today right into
Dean?
No.
Billy Dean?
No.
Dean's Ice Cream?
No. Keep going. You got one more guess.
That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. I mean, I took a little bit of a leap here.
Billy Dean? Did I say Billy
William
Dean?
Anthony Dean Michael Perry, the Fridge. I fridged our guy.
Oh, you fridged him.
I fridged him. I really enjoyed that. Moving along to Phil. I mean, you got to start with the Zen Master. You got to start with the man behind the scenes. A man who came in with a soft touch. He changed everything. You didn't even know what he was doing. You didn't even know how he got there. But all of a sudden, he had a massive impact. Nobody truly understands the power of the touch, the scope, the Orange Theory domination as well of my guy Phil. Did you follow that one?
I did.
Okay, great.
I kind of blacked out halfway through this whole thing.
We got three more.
Damn.
Chris, with a K. The Daddy Mac. Chris will make you jump. He's going to give you the energy.
It's all whack. A wiggity, wiggity, wiggity whack.
He's about pushing the limits. He's about the fashion. He's about the style. Chris has it all. Chris, welcome to the Die Hard family. Two more. Dan. Did somebody say Danimal? Seriously, Kevin Kadick, did you say Danimal?
Did you say Danimal, Kevin Kadick?
The heart and soul of the interior. Dan can do it from anywhere. This dude can also bust out the mullet and pull it off, although he can't snap the football.
Would he drink a beer from a fish, a catfish?
I don't know, but he's a chick magnet, my man Dan. And Logan. The middle child, but not stuck in the middle, Logan. I see you. Doesn't rock the boat, but doesn't get run over either. That's my man, Logan. Under the surface determination, it bellies his nice guy exterior. Respect to you, Logan. And actually, one more special one to Rob. Newest Rob. Clutch, steely-eyed, money in the bank. When you absolutely have to have it, you got to have Rob. And now we got Rob on our side. Rob, our newest diehard.
You know what Rob spelled backwards is, right?
That would be Boar?
Yeah, and that's what you just did to us for... No, I'm kidding. I know everybody loves the Carm call-out. Zach in the chat just said he will become a diehard just for the Carm call-out.
You have
Look at that dog.
There are numerous people in here who talk about their favorite part of the show is this part of the show. So you either get on board or you will be allowed to walk off the set when I go to Die Hard Land.
Okay.
I want your support.
I know today I've alienated all the guys that lay down tile today on the show.
You really went after the other laborers.
Yeah, I had to pick somebody. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
And the guy goes, I bet you couldn't lay down tile. No, I can't. That's why I'm talking shit about it. Anything that takes patience or precision, that wasn't for me. I need to be able to slam shit home. That's why bricklaying was the life for me. Tried ironworking for a little bit, but walking that iron, it takes a different breed. We've got all off season to talk about it. So when we talk about our draft grades, because we had, what was our final team grades to wrap this up and put a bow on it? It's my final team grade was an A+, easy business. Best draft I've ever been a part of in my lifetime. Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze. They could have just stopped there, and they would have got an A+ from me. And the opportunity for Austin Booker to be the diamond in the rough, if he is, this is going to set this franchise up for Super Bowls, plural. And Carm, what was your final team
I gave an
draft?
A- because I would have loved one more playmaker on the offensive side of the ball of the three picks. And I would have loved one more just swinging an elite player that actually plays football.
Well, and every year, and we like I said, we have all off season all week to talk about this stuff. But every year, Ryan Poles hits on an undrafted free agent. 2 years ago, Jack Sanborn. Last year, Tyson Bagent. And this year, we got a bunch of invites, so it'll be interesting to see who shakes out of it. But I know a lot of people are excited about the defensive tackle from Illinois, Keith Randolph.
Yeah.
So, you're not feeling it? I get the not feeling it face from you.
When he was on the field without Johnny Newton, at least talking to Illinois people, and I talked to a couple of them yesterday, didn't do much.
Okay, but
it's fine. Hey,
right.
he's an undrafted free
now
agent.
He's on a team with Montez Sweat and Trevon Dexter.
Hey, we need help on the defensive line. It's an undrafted free agent. There is no risk. There's nothing not to like about, all of that.
Well, and I'm not against the idea of, like, I know everybody keeps bringing up Trey Hendrickson giving up one of next year's second round picks. I'm not against that kind of opportunity because, as I've said a million times, or even a different player of that ilk, if one does become available, simply because the window starts now. The Caleb Williams era starts now. The window is officially open. And just like Russell Wilson with the Seattle Seahawks, the reason you have a quarterback on a rookie contract, and not just any quarterback on a rookie contract, one of the top quarterback prospects to ever come out of a draft here in the last 10, 20 years. Take advantage of that by loading your team up before you have to pay Caleb Williams an insane amount of money in 4 years. So right now is the time. As much as Caleb Williams is a rookie, it is win now mode. So if that means go out and get your guy and trade for him, I'm not against it. I'll worry about next year's problems next year. But this year, load this team up, get this roster ready to start winning games the next 4 years.
No, you're not going to get an argument from me on that one. If they want to be aggressive to get in another playmaker on the defensive side of the ball, give up a second-round pick next year, you could sign me up for that one. Ideally, it'd be our second-round pick. But, hey, I hear you. Because it's a little thin, too. And maybe it works without one. But if Montez gets dinged, then you got some problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Big shows coming up the rest of the week.
That's what we're
going to look at the rest of the division, their draft classes. We're going to have some Caleb intensive guests for you, which is going to get everybody even more just excited / just feeling good in the moment. I'm looking forward to those conversations.
And for anybody that wasn't tuned into our streams, last week, I don't know why you wouldn't have. Still can watch those. They were a lot of fun. Our live streams during the draft. But if anybody isn't aware, keeps asking, where's Adam Hogue? Where's Nick Moriano? They're both out. They have family stuff they're working through right now. So just keep them in your thoughts and show them a lot of love because they're going through some tough times right now in the household front. So we're holding it down for them here in the studio. But they'll be back. I'm sure Nick will be back a little sooner than Hogue. But both of them are working through things for those of you that were asking about their absence here today.
Let's check out our Super Chats today. Appreciate everybody in the Super Chat world. Isaac Siegel, $10. I loved Justin, but the personality 180 to Caleb is refreshing, engaging, and fun. This is going to sound like a shot at Justin, and it's not, but it was always a little bit of a thing for me. Justin was the most first-class dude of all time, but he wasn't particularly interesting. Caleb's going to be more entertaining.
Okay, and from a media standpoint, I get why there's value to that and why you'd appreciate someone that's a little more open. And even fans do, too. But, for me,
it's also
I don't have to appreciate – finish your sentence.
It's also in the huddle and the dynamic. This dude is going to bring a swagger.
Okay, but I can cut it both ways, and I did that with Justin, so I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my mouth here. And appreciating Caleb's charisma and energy and his excitement – and all that, we can appreciate that separately than cutting down the previous quarterback. Because for me, I appreciated Justin Fields' calm demeanor, never too high, never too low, had that, silent assassin type of demeanor that Derrick Rose brought that I appreciated a lot here in Chicago. And I know a lot of people here in Chicago appreciate that kind of, bravado as well. So it's, each one can win. At the end of the day, win in this city, and we're going to admire you for the person you are, whether that's, calm, cool, and collected, or you've got this crazy, bright personality. We've seen different examples of both in this city from championship teams and championship players. So I'm not of this – I'm going to start cutting down every aspect of Justin now that we're fully entrenched in the Caleb Williams era.
Greg Baggs Jr., and those fair points, by the way. I'm not trying to cut down Justin, and there's more than there's many ways to get things done.
Right.
And Justin was wildly supported in that locker room, so he went about.
But like I said, like this, the high emotions, we love seeing his high emotion. But like if there comes a day, just like in college, where he's crying after a loss,
good,
right? I don't have an issue with it, but I know Bears fans are going to say, like, what's the old adage? Don't be too high on the highs. Don't be too low on the lows. Like, stay even keel. Well, that's not who Caleb Williams is going to be here. And we'll all embrace that as fans, but you could make the argument the other way, you know, and I get this is the fresh flavor, you know, the new quarterback, so we're going to love everything that he is, and that's true. But I'm just saying, like, you could also – if it was reversed, we could say, well, I love this new quarterback that's calm and doesn't, have as much, rigid emotion different ways. So, like, I just am not going to get into cutting down one way or another.
All right.
Be you, as Matt Nagy in our chat likes to say.
Braggs Jr., well, I said it before and we'll say it again. Caleb is our savior. Greg Braggs Jr. for president. That is the next stop for Braggs. There's no doubt about it. Isaac Siegel, $5. It's weird even hearing Coward talk up the Bears. Just heard a clip shared by Harrison Graham, who's awesome. I love Harrison. And he's all in on the beats on the Bears. Let's go. It's a new day. Harrison does a great job in the Bears chat world. Big supporter of the show. We appreciate you, Harrison. Chubbs82. Randolph is going to be a star. Law firm coming to town.
Yep. Chubbs is a big Illinois fan and a total loser with that, but he also is very excited about Randolph, and I know him along with Corey Wooten, who will be on tonight with me on Bears After Dark at 7 p.m. Central. We're both adamant that we needed defensive line help, so I think, getting Booker, getting Randolph undrafted, I think that sufficed, calmed the fires of one Chubbs and Corey. We'll see what Corey has to say here tonight.
Bears fan in Wisconsin, $10. A couple actually from joining an asphalt crew next week. So this will be one of the last times until November I'll be able to catch the show live. Thank you guys for making the days delivering for Amazon go by a bit faster. Bears fan in Wisconsin, you're the man.
You and asphalt in the rankings. That's tough. That's a tough ass trade. It's a lot of heat. You're outside. The asphalt makes it even hotter. You lose a lot of weight out there working the asphalt, no doubt about it.
$5. Also, Carm, I have not forgiven you for making me the cream cheese bagel guy when reading me out as a diehard. I do like it, but come on, man.
Just never know where he's going to go with this.
Listen, I don't remember that, to be honest, Bears fan in Wisconsin. But, listen, you go chive, you go plain. You even go veggie cream cheese, Bears fan in Wisconsin. I appreciate you. Our guy Mason, by the way, apparently Hogue read him as a diehard, and he didn't get the full, elite Carm treatment. So Mason.
Oh, Hogue did a lame job of doing it?
I mean, that's what Mason said a little bit earlier today. And Mason, I want to do you right. So when we start our diehards tomorrow, Mason, you're going to be the first one. I got to think about all the brilliance that is you, Mason. So not only do you get...
Got to have some brick stuff thrown into it.
Yeah.
Hello, Lawrence.
Lawrence has his hands up. Don't know why. It's the happiest I've ever seen him in my life.
I think I think Lawrence might pass me up for the person that loves off-air. Like when I'm not on camera, I love to mess with the guys on air. But Lawrence is like neck and neck with me with wanting the on-air person's attention. I do it with the Bulls guys all the time too.
No, you don't like.
Come over here and give me a hug. Come over here and give me a hug. Come on, what have you been doing all weekend, huh, bud? Huh? Bring it in.
Working with you.
This is adorable.
You did a great job. You did a great job. We appreciate all the help. Don't kill me. There goes Lawrence. I have two of them. I got a 2X and an XL because I wasn't sure which one I'd fit in.
Our supreme executive producer, overseer of all, and now needs a shower, Lawrence Benedetto.
Okay. Now you're gonna get a hug.
I'm in, buddy.
Oh, you're in.
People are knocking. Oh, I've got a long shoelace going on here today. My apologies.
Knocking your shoes?
Yeah.
Why? What's wrong with them?
The laces are too long.
It's been brought up twice in the chat now. Yeah.
Yeah.
They look like not olives. Is it olives?
It's not my favorite shoe. I didn't have a good shoe day today. I apologize. Bill, we'll come back stronger tomorrow. Hey, thank you to Adam Rank from the Sick Podcast, the NFL Network, for joining us. Thank you to everybody who chatted today, even the ones that said negative things about me. I love you. Thank you to
anybody that said negative things about me in the chat. You're dead to me.
Not me. I love everybody. Steven, thanks for producing. Thank you for watching. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button on the way out of here. We greatly appreciate it as we continue to grow the show. We are inching to 57,000, 55,000?
55. We're less than 300 away from 55,000.
Yeah, so, and go to allchgo.com and put your deposit down to come to London with us, damn it. Do you realize how awesome this trip is going to be with this amazing team going overseas?
Hey, if you hit the subscribe button now, Braggs, will you promise to wear pants the rest of the week?
True Fan Travel taking us out to London. I may or may not wear pants on this trip, but if you come out, you're going to have a great time. We've got a lot of awesome things planned for the week, including going to the game with the fans. Going to be doing, obviously, live shows, post-game show. Going to be a lot of drinks to be had, maybe even a boat trip, I've heard. Might be a little river boat thing.
Promise that you'll wear pants the rest of the week.
All right, maybe I'll wear. It's the summertime, guys.
It's supposed to be warm
I
all
have
week.
to wear pants on these shows all the time. I don't want to wear any pants, to be honest with you. The fact that I kept my pants on when we drafted Rome Odunze is a miracle in and of itself. So I'm getting tired of this. Eric Alley, I will unsubscribe and resubscribe to get Braggs to wear pants. Eric, come on now. I mean, look at these. Look at these things. I mean, come on. You don't like these pants? Yeah, come on.
No pants. Okay, end it right now. Please. Bye.
We all silly like the mayor.